Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and I'm here to tell you guys why I am convinced that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate definitely has some sort of single player campaign, something along the lines of a Subspace Emissary from Brawl, or maybe an expanded version of the adventure mode from Melee. Why else would I be making the video, Charmander? Well, you're a figment of my imagination. Well, I'll show you. As I was trying to allude to earlier, there are several reasons why I feel convinced that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has some sort of single-player campaign mode, something along the lines of a Subspace Emissary. I think it's going to be better than it, but the point being, I still think there's going to be something like that in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and there are several reasons why. Now, the first reason I want to talk about isn't actually something from the most recent Direct, but actually during the E3 Direct when we got the Ridley reveal. So when you take a look at that cutscene where we saw Ridley get revealed, we see Mario, Samus, and Mega Man walking along a platform. And if you pay close attention to the environment, there's actually a lot of like red and black things all around the place. Now initially, I just thought this was wiring, just a part of the, the whole sci-fi environment. I didn't think much of it, but upon closer inspection, it actually almost looks more like some sort of goop or corruption that's sort of invading the environment. Now I'm not sure if it's like black mushrooms or like some sort of poison that's kind of like Phazon from Metroid, but it's definitely weird and it's definitely invasive, and this environment looks nothing like any other previous area from Metroid, neither does that black sort of toxic thing, whatever it is, so it definitely seems like some sort of narrative is building here. But even then, when I sort of noticed that, I took a step back and thought, okay, this is kind of blurry, kind of dark, it could still just be red and black wiring in the background, I could just be looking for interesting details. I did take that into consideration, but when you look at the platform, the actual bridge that Mario, Mega Man, and Samus are walking on, you can even see that black and red goop or whatever it is on that platform, which just kind of goes to my point that this is something invasive and it's not actually supposed to be a part of the environment. So I think there's really some sort of narrative being built here with this Ridley cutscene. Which sort of brings me to all the other cutscenes we've seen so far for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They've all been intense, very visceral, very extreme. Like we saw Mega Man and Mario get taken out, it's almost implied that they die, right? We saw King DD get taken out, maybe he died, right? And then Luigi, well, he died. The death ripped out his soul. Now maybe the soul goes back into the body, but nevertheless, Luigi also died. So we have all of these Nintendo and video game icons dropping like flies in all these different Smash Bros. Trailers. Why is this happening? Is it just for show, or is there some sort of narrative being built here? I actually think that there's a narrative being built here. This seems a bit too extra. Honestly, if they're just meant to be character reveal trailers, I think it's a bit much. Like, it's awesome, don't get me wrong, but I just think there's something more to it. And I think there's more reasons that sort of complement this thinking here. So this kind of brings me to that green icon that Sakurai was teasing to us in the most recent Direct. So there's this Twitter user, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I'm just going to put his Twitter profile on the video here so you guys can see, and also linked in the description below, but he noticed that this blurry text seems to say spirits. He did some workarounds, and if you take a close look at it, it does seem to fit the bill. So it seems like this green icon says spirits. What could spirits actually mean? Well, to be honest with you, if you look at that Luigi cutscene, it could definitely be a connection, but at the same time, that Luigi cutscene where he loses his spirit could just be, them making some sort of nod towards Luigi's Mansion, because it's all about that gothic, haunted, sort of spooky sort of style, but it's his actual soul, his actual spirit, and we have a mode that could potentially actually be called Spirits. And if you think about it, if you look at the original N64, where we had these lifeless dolls, and then we had trophies starting from Melee on, if you think about this idea of spirits and putting them into bodies, the same way the Luigi spirit tried to go into that corpse of a Luigi body at the end of the cutscene, maybe there's something there in terms of gathering all these Smash Bros. Spirits, all these video game icon spirits, and putting them into fighters. I don't know, this is speculation here, but definitely I think there's some sort of weird connection between this potential spirits mode and these cutscenes. Now, what makes it more interesting to me is that Sakurai told us that there's going to be some sort of unique and interesting way to obtain all these new characters, or all these different characters in Smash Bros. We're going to be starting the game with a really small roster. But with all the modes that they showed off in the most recent Direct, Sakurai made no mention of any of these modes being a way to unlock all of these characters. But he did tease this green icon, this spirits mode supposedly. So what if this Spirits mode is how we're going to be collecting all of these characters? And if that's the case, it really reminds me a lot of Subspace Emissary. In Subspace Emissary, you played through it and you pretty much would unlock every single character in the game. And if that's the case, I find it really interesting because actually during the direct, there was that scene where we saw a Monster Hunter stage in the areas known as Ancestral Step from the Monster Hunter series, and we saw a Rathalos. But we didn't see any sort of character reveal for the Monster Hunters. We didn't see a normal fight. The entire area has no platforms, no cliffs. It does not look like a normal Smash Bros. Stage. It's not even a part of the confirmed 103 stages so far. It's something else. And there was only one fighter fighting the Rathalos at a time. It looked different, just not like a normal Smash Bros. Stage. But you know what it did remind me of? Subspace Emissary. If you look at the Rayquaza fight in particular, it's the one that's most vivid in my memory, the environment's very similar. Just replace the backdrops. It's a flat environment that goes from left to right, no cliffs, no platforms, and you're fighting a boss. It's very similar to me. The Rayquaza vs Rathalos fights look very similar, and it looks like a Subspace Emissary sort of environment. So maybe this Rathalos stage is kind of a tease towards that, a tease towards some sort of adventure mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So when you take all of these things into consideration, the narrative that's being built with these cutscenes, the visceral killings of all these characters, the supposed spirit mode, the fact that we know that Sakurai has something in the works to give us a unique way of collecting all these different characters in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the fact that there's this weird Rathalos stage that looks a lot like a Subspace Emissary stage when it comes to traversal and boss fights, it really does seem like it's suggesting that there is some sort of single-player mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But if there's one other reason that really kind of sells it, this whole premise to me, is this. When you look at the previous direct, we got a reveal for Simon Belmont, Richter, Chrom, Dark Samus, King K. Rool. We got the return of an actual classic mode, not that trash from Smash for Wii U, and we got the return of an actual tourney mode from Brawl and Melee. To me, it really does feel like they're doing everything in their power to make this the ultimate Super Smash Bros. Game. And if that's truly the case, if it really is an ultimate Smash Bros. Game, then it kind of needs to have some sort of amazing single-player adventure to bring it all together, to tie in all these amazing cutscenes, all these amazing characters, and give players something really interesting, something special, something unique to this game. So I'm convinced that there's definitely some sort of single-player adventure mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But what do you guys think? Are you guys as convinced as I am? Do you guys think maybe not, maybe so? Or have you noticed any other interesting details that could suggest the very same thing I am talking about? Let me know, guys. Anyways, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.